The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story, just because like we cast a guy in the movie. Andrew Burnap, great dude. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Rachel Zegler just can't catch a break, and at this point, she might be her own worst enemy. Even after Snow White flopped at the box office, the drama is far from over. Now, rumors are swirling that even her own co-star Andrew Burnap is pointing fingers and blaming her for the film's epic downfall. The behind-the-scenes drama is turning out to be juicier than the actual movie, so buckle up. Today, we're diving into how Rachel Zegler went from Disney's rising star to Hollywood's black sheep, and why Disney is reportedly scrambling to cut ties.
I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film.
You want to trash that legacy? That company that now Disney has screwed up the last 5 years trying to please a small percentage of minorities in America? Yeah, we're sick of it. So the more you do this, Disney, Iger, Ziegler, whatever her name is, yes, this is exactly the backlash you're going to get from parents who have kids who are your customers. You're supposed to win parents over. You're talking to kids, the parents pay for the tickets. You have to be a dummy as a marketer. If I'm Bob Iger, you know what we're doing? Emergency meeting. We're putting Snow White on hold for 2 years, and guess what? Pay her a couple $1,000,000, go away. We're gonna bring another person to play this role because you just screwed this thing up.
After a shocking opening week for Rachel Zegler and her box office flop, many expected the numbers to gradually climb as more people decided to check out the remake of this fan-favorite classic. But wow, were they wrong.
Things just went from bad to worse for Snow White, and it's shaping up to become one of the biggest bombs of all time.
In a new low for Disney, Snow White has set an unfortunate record, tumbling at the box office with a staggering 66% drop in ticket sales during its second week in theaters.
The Snow White remake is now one of the lowest rated films in IMDb history. This is such a poor reception for a Disney princess movie, and I'll be surprised if it even has a 1-star tomorrow because the bad reviews keep pouring in.
This drop is even worse than Dumbo, 2019, officially making Rachel Zegler's Snow White the worst second-week decline of any Disney live-action remake ever. While this disaster unfolded, Rachel Zegler, in a desperate attempt to salvage her career and encourage people to see the movie, ended up making herself the laughingstock of Hollywood. As Snow White continued to struggle at the box office, Rachel decided to watch her own movie in theaters with her friends. But to her surprise, when she arrived, the theater was nearly empty. This awkward moment was documented on her friend's Instagram, where she filmed herself shouting Rachel's name as it appeared on screen, only for the echo to ring out in an almost deserted theater. This sparked a trend of people filming themselves watching Snow White in theaters, only to reveal that in almost every video, the cinema was nearly empty.
Wow, people love me.
With this trend gaining traction, rumors are swirling that Disney executives aren't too happy with Rachel Zegler. In fact, unconfirmed reports suggest that she has already been dropped by Disney.
Rachel Zegler just came out and said that this is the #1 movie in the world, and I like the movie, but I really don't think it's #1. Look, I actually like the Snow White movie. I don't understand all the hate for it. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was good. I thought it was like an 8 out of 10. Like 9's great, 8's good, and I just don't understand. But this #1 of the movie in the world, they always say this in the like commercials when a movie's not doing well in theaters. They say #1 movie in the world, and it's never true. Like they did this for Venom, and that movie was straight trash. Literally, Snow White is better than Venom 3. I gotta say that. But yeah, Rachel, I don't know really what you're talking about here. I don't know if this is her like media doing it for her.
This movie was supposed to be a big deal for many people, one of them being Rachel Zegler's co-star, Andrew Burnap. Before all the controversy, there was a lot of anticipation that Snow White would launch Andrew into stardom. Even he believed. Yet in an interview with People magazine, Andrew recalled his excitement about landing the role. "I remember auditioning, putting something on tape, and sending it off. You train yourself to audition and then forget about it as quickly as possible. Weeks later, I got an email saying they wanted to see me again. I thought, you've got to be kidding. Then, they invited me for a chemistry read with Rachel Zegler. The moment I got the call that I got the job, I remember sitting down outside thinking, wow, my life is really gonna change from here, and it certainly has. And change it did, but not in the way Andrew had hoped. Even before production wrapped, Rachel had already started tearing down Andrew's hard work, and even his character in the movie. During the press tour, She gave the impression that she saw herself as the Snow White savior, constantly shading the original film and Andrew's role. She repeatedly called the classic outdated and made it clear she didn't respect the story or its characters. To make things even worse, during an interview with Extra TV, Rachel outright dismissed Andrew's role, calling Snow White's love interest a weird stalker. A guy that literally stalks her? Weird. We have a different approach than what people might assume is a love story just because we cast a guy in the movie. Andrew Burnap, great dude, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. With comments like that, it's no surprise why the backlash hit so hard.
What they watched, I did not see it. We were not allowed to watch. We had to stand on our spot backstage. So it sounded like they really liked it, which is really, really exciting. I saw the title card, which looked great. I got really emotional hearing everybody's reactions to it, which was really, really incredible. And so I feel very blessed to be a part of something that seems to be very important to a lot of people, including myself.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
Rachel's comments didn't just upset fans. They also rubbed the wrong way many people connected to Snow White, including David Hale Hand, the son of the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs supervising director. David criticized Rachel's remarks, saying they showed no respect for what Walt Disney and his father had created all those years ago. The backlash was so intense that Disney reportedly forced Rachel to backtrack on her comments. In an interview with Variety, she tried to clarify, "I would never want to box someone in and say if you want love, then you can't work, or if you want to work, then you can't have a family. It's not true. It's never been true. It can be very upsetting when things get taken out of context or jokes don't land. The love story is very integral. A lot of people wrote that we weren't doing that storyline anymore. We were always doing that. It just wasn't what we were talking about on that day." But Andrew Burnap wasn't the only co-star Rachel clashed with. It was widely reported that she and Gal Gadot didn't get along. But unlike Andrew, Rachel's words didn't just affect Gal's character. They affected her personally. Back in August 2024, Rachel took to X, formerly Twitter, to express support for Palestine in a post tied to the Snow White trailer. As we all know, politics is a deeply divisive topic, and this case was no different. Gal Gadot, who served in the Israeli Defense Forces under the country's compulsory military service laws, has been vocal in her support of Israel amid the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict. Rachel's post sent shockwaves through Disney. Many involved in the movie's production were baffled as to why she chose to use the film's promotion to make such a strong political statement. The situation got so bad that Disney executives reportedly blew up Rachel's phone, and producer Mark Platt even flew to New York to speak with her directly. By this point, Rachel's relationship with Disney execs and producers was already strained. For nearly 2 years, she had been throwing shade at the film, but since Disney had already poured millions into making and marketing it, they were essentially stuck with her, and she wasn't making things any easier. The fallout from Rachel's tweet only escalated when Gal Gadot started receiving serious threats due to her Israeli background. Things got so bad that Disney had to hire additional security for her. According to an insider, Rachel seemed completely unaware of the consequences of her post, which only made things worse. Rachel didn't understand the repercussions of her actions, what that meant for the film, for Gal, for anyone. After that, Rachel and Gal's relationship only continued to deteriorate. This was a huge problem for Disney, as the two were required to promote the movie together. But during the few appearances they made, it was clear they had zero chemistry. Even at the film's premiere, they seemed to go out of their way to avoid each other. And when it came time for the European premiere in Spain, Gal Gadot didn't even bother to show up.
Disney spent a whopping $270 million on the film. The studio opted for a small LA premiere, held Saturday in the middle of the day with limited press. Zegler greeted children dressed as Snow White. She was not at Disneyland on Sunday, where Gal Gadot promoted the film, surrounded by children dressed as her.
The situation wasn't helped by the significant age gap between Rachel and Gal, as well as their completely different life stages. Gal is a mother of 4 with years of experience in the industry, while Rachel is still an up-and-coming actress, so they really had nothing in common. They had this movie to work on together, but it was a disaster from the start. One source close to the production, speaking with People magazine, gave insight into just how awkward things were between the two co-stars. Gal was reportedly annoyed by the ongoing drama. While she enjoyed filming and didn't have any major issues with Rachel, they simply weren't friends. According to this source, they did a job together, and that's it. Another source added that Gal and Rachel didn't see eye to eye at all. Gal's attitude toward Rachel's comments was blunt. You don't criticize and cause drama for a project you signed on to do. Gal just couldn't understand why Rachel would stir up so much controversy over something they were both part of. But the drama didn't stop with the Snow White set. Rachel also began publicly beefing with Trump and his supporters. She took to Instagram and went on a full-blown rant saying, "May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace." But it didn't end there, she continued, calling Trump's followers a deep sickness and accusing them of subscribing to a false sense of security, masculinity, intelligence, patriotism, and humanity. To top it all off, she boldly finished with F Donald Trump. Naturally, the internet exploded. The MAGA crowd came for her, demanding that Disney fire her from Snow White. They even threatened to boycott the film if she wasn't removed. At this point, Disney had had enough. They were in a tough position. Rachel was essentially alienating half of their potential audience, telling them not to bother watching the movie. Disney executives even flew out the movie's producer again for a one-on-one with Rachel to try to get her under control. She was truly sabotaging them. After a series of discussions and back and forths, Disney hired a social media expert to help rein in Rachel's behavior. Finally, Rachel issued an apology. "Hi everyone, I would like to sincerely apologize for the election post I shared on my Instagram last week. I let my emotions get the best of me. Hatred and anger have caused us to move further and further away from peace and understanding, and I am sorry I contributed to the negative discourse. This week has been emotional for so many of us, but I firmly believe that everyone has the right to their opinion, even when it differs from my own. I am committed to contributing positively toward a better tomorrow." But after all this drama, Rachel is now paying a serious price. It seems her inability to hold her tongue might have cost her a lot, possibly even her career. But what do you all think? Can Rachel recover from this disaster? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and be sure to check out the next video.